going on here?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, if you want to do it, please.
Basically,
Please state your name.
so Sean Hunt,
And
I'm the builder
Hilder.
of the house, yeah, and basically, when they, laid out the foundation, they went off the edge of the road versus the fence for the utility easement.
Okay.
Normally I would have them do it, but this was such a basic box, and when the foundation guys, they just made an error. No
Okay.
excuse for it. This was a flat error, and it looks, you can't really tell it by looking, it looks so close to the neighbors on the other side of the road, so without measuring, even cameraing it, he didn't even catch it.
Yeah,
You can
from
park
50 feet from the edge of the house, or from the porch.
And you can park 3 trucks in that driveway
Okay.
to the road.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No,
Okay. Thank you. Cameron, you want to give staff report?
Property owner Nancy Jernigan has submitted an application for a variance on property located at 7293 North Thompson Trail, Monticello, Indiana, on July 28th, 2020. The variance was properly advertised in the Carroll County Comment on August 5th, 2020, and the site sign was properly posted. Certified mail receipts from the notice to adjoining property owners are on file. The applicant is requesting a variance as there was an unintended measurement error when staking the foundation. The foundation was measured from the edge of the road instead of the utility setback, making the porch foundation 33 feet 1 inch instead of the required 50 feet, which is 56 instead. The house is not approaching any other homes on the property. It is the staff's opinion the variance would not impede the orderly development or surrounding properties, the general welfare of the public of adjoining property owners. Also, the variance would not endanger the public health, safety, or morals of the community members. The staff has provided favorable recommendations for the approval of this variance.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And what is the lot size here? Is it 1 acre, 1.25 acres or something?
Even on these, yeah.
It's 100, 1.2?
Yeah.
It's 170.
It has to be a minimum of an acre built, so it's,
294 by 170.
Okay. Okay, any questions? No, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak in, oh, I forgot. Cameron, any correspondence to this for and against? None, okay. Open the public hearing. Anyone in favor of speaking for this variance, please? Oh, time, 8:35. Please welcome to the podium. Anybody in opposition? Hearing none in favor or opposition, call the public hearing to close at 8:35 also. And any questions from the board? Any motion from the board to proceed with questions?
I move we proceed with the questions.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion from the board. Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Variance, the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So a motion needs to be made demonstrating that it will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, welfare of the community.
I move to approve this variance. It will not be, injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. It's a very nice housing addition. It's a very lovely home, and it will not affect anything.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion from the board. Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second question, use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
By moving the house 11 feet changes nothing that I can see on position on the house. So it does nothing to cause any harm to anybody else.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Third and final question, the strict application of terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Using the 11 feet of the front porch is not going to affect anything on the property. And if we didn't, then she'd have to lose that beautiful porch, that would be proper for her.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Okay, and are the Evers costs ready to readdress what they wish to do?
Well, they're not here, but we are, so
Well-
we like a special, 2 weeks, we get a special, meeting in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
I'm sure happy to do that.
We greatly appreciate it.
No problem. So we need a motion to table and reconvene in 2 weeks.
I'm moving to table this, application 2020-6 and hold that in 2 weeks, and the date will be September, is that it?
The first, so it'll be on Tuesday,
15. Oh, there it is,
15th.
Yeah. September 15th.
September 15th, does that September 15th date work with all of us?
Works for me.
Works for me.
Still at 7?
Do 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Right here.
All right, thank you.
And we hope that, we can work out a solution and work with the property owners next door, maybe, by then.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So that's well, we have to take a vote on tabling that.
Oh, I made the motion.
Second. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Your table till the meeting on September 15th, 7 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
Thank you for your time. Are you so notified?
You're welcome.
Ma'am.
Thank you for sitting here.
How long is the variance take to get? I've got to close on this long, but
Yeah, I've noticed. Not
You need
heavy, but
something for the approval
from the approval, so that when I will get submitted in with the location.
You got the things from your side? Yeah. Okay, I signed that, you want a copy of that, it should be good to go.
Okay.
I got it, I think I said that, and I'll have it to you tomorrow.
Okay, get it from you tomorrow, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Let me go ahead and sign that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Your house is very pretty.
Cleared it up.
All right. Next item on the agenda is Morris property. Yay. Okay, the last meeting, it came to attention that, Mr. Morris is operating his junkyard, what appears to be a junkyard, alleged junkyard, on his property in the CNC Beach area, and, that's in violation of the agreement that we had for granting the variance for reduced setback on his property, which was upon completion of his building, that the property would have to be in compliance with all the, zoning rules, and that the grandfather junkyard would essentially, come to an end, and then all of his automobile repair / salvage operations would have to be conducted inside the building. The little history on this, the area plan, Board of Zoning Appeals voted to consider the property substantially complete, recommended that the area plan commission, authorize a occupancy permit. At that time, the area plan voted to not issue an occupancy permit, and chose to, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, assume that, the building was not substantially complete. And, if I know correctly, they went to court, and the judge ruled that the building was substantially complete. Is that correct? So consequently, being, he would have to then issue the occupancy permit substantially complete. That means that his automobile salvage, repair operations, whatever, would have to be conducted inside the building, and junk vehicles outside, meaning vehicles that are non-operational without license plate or registration, could not be stored on the property. So, that's the history of it. So consequently, the question becomes, does the Board of Zoning Appeals wish to make a recommendation to the area plan to start pursuing legal actions against Mr. Morris for violating the terms of his variance? Well,
Did anybody go by it?
No, I have not.
I drove by, there was a lot of, I don't know if it was construction, there was a lot of vehicles down there, and David, do we need to send something first? From our office saying,
I don't know the question.
cause you guys know the history of it more, maybe, I don't know that should we approach him first, to give him a chance to, there's a trailer outside with part of staff. There's probably 10, 15 on a trailer,
Crushed?
crushed.
Oh, yeah.
He's back to his normal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't see the crushed ones when I was up.
Where is that, that's how close this, house comes,
No,
No.
no, this is by Patton.
CNC Beach, he's got the,
Turn left at Patton and go
turn
down.
left and Patton, go down the hill,
Do
I
the
guess,
zigzag.
turn to the left and
It's a strange place for it.
zigzag around.
Yeah. It's out in the middle of something that should be beautiful.
There's lots of junk out there.
There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of activity right there, and I didn't, there's still, I don't know if there's ever supposed to be doors put on the structure, there's not.
Yeah.
So there's no
Never
doors.
put the doors on, but that becomes immaterial because the courts have ruled that the building was substantially complete and that the requirements were met, zoning, or the occupancy permit should be issued. Now, I don't know whether area plan, it probably predates you, whether,
I was here at the meeting, though,
whether an occupancy permit was issued for that or not, I don't know. Is there anything in the file that says?
For them? I could date that, or, okay, we have a pretty good.
So, question for Cindy would, what's our course of action? Do we make a recommendation to the area plan, or do we ask you to write a letter to him, or? What do you think?
He had an attorney. Maybe the first step would be writing a letter to his legal counsel indicating that we believe he's becoming in violation of the agreement that was made. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I think that, you guys can ask that I do that, I don't know that you have to ask the APC to have something done. I think
You're our counsel for both boards, and
Yeah.
those ends, so I don't know why we have
Right.
to.
So, I guess, there might be a motion from,
Cause everything happened in front of the BZA.
yeah, okay. Yeah, but the,
APC had to
Other
bring
than the
the case.
permitting, permitting.
Well, and the APC had to file the case,
yeah,
but all the initial things that went on prior, his violations and bringing them in for it all.
right, right.
In front of BZA.
Right,
And the negotiations on what he was gonna do, how we're gonna solve it, yeah.
right, and we extended one of the other issues is that, the spring when he was supposed to start construction
Oh,
was
yeah.
extremely wet. So we extended the deadline to accommodate the reduced construction period
Yeah.
at that point in time, and, to try and accommodate him and his difficulties he was encountering. So I believe we did our due diligence to be fair and reasonable.
But beyond fair, reasonable, I think we gave him a lot of leeway.
So the question here becomes in all fairness to the property owners in the area, my personal opinion is that we should start action to get him to comply with the rules.
authorized our, BZA attorney, City Orange, to send a letter suggesting that things need to be straightened up at the property, so that no further action will be taken.
And this would include the elimination of non-operational, vehicles
Yeah.
and auto parts and other salvage parts outside the building.
Good.
So, because the whole idea was is that the building would be built and that all those operations would be conducted inside, and that would be in compliance with the rules as written in our zoning ordinance.
From the way I remember, you perfectly said it.
Yeah. I lived it for a long time, so I. Yes, Debbie, I lived it. Yeah.
I mean, you give the guy minimal backwards for giving something so it can stay in operation the way it do. All he had to do is do it inside the building.
Yeah.
Number one, he didn't build the building right. Number two, he still didn't listen.
Yeah.
We could have told his permit, he had nothing.
So, Teresa made a motion, Joe seconded, we've had a little discussion. All in favor of proceeding with a letter to him and or his attorney, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Director's report.
Other than we are extremely busy, as usual. We have officially moved from this office to the first floor.
No.
In the process of trying to get things where we need it. We already have some things on the docket for this coming meeting. We have one, another gentleman did not come in, so, other than that, we're staying busy and,
Where did you move to?
the old veterans office downstairs, across from child support.
Is that enough room for you? Because you have 2 rooms up here.
Yeah, but you didn't have.
But the one room was not ours,
Yeah.
that was Penny, the recorder's office, so we have, it's a different shape, so we're making it work. Not complaining, because it's a lot easier for the public now to come in our office, and instead of going back down the stairs, they can go right around and get a permit from Donnie, they can go to the health department and get their, and then they can do everything right there, and then on the first floor, and they're in and out, so. If we're a little bit squeezed, so be it, as the public, it's a lot easier from there, so. A lot of compliments so far on it, how much easier it was, so.
Good.
Just trying to get things arranged to where, it's like anything else, when you move, didn't know we had that much stuff.
Okay. Cindy, anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay.
Try to back him up every time he needs.
Additional information or concerns of the board? Here's the, Now, one thing I brought up in an email to Cameron, you did, correct?
Yeah.
Has to do, since the area planning commission is gonna be doing some work on the zoning ordinance, it has to do with confined animal feeding operations, primarily, the designation of what the 800-foot setback is from, as it reads presently in the ordinance, is from the, building and or rooms. And I think it's missing a couple of issues. Some of the books at one point in time had, outlots and pins. I don't know that that's, we would want to limit it for that. I think my personal opinion is that accessory buildings that have contents or operations that create odor and or offensive emissions should also be considered as part of the 800-foot setback. And it would need to have, in my opinion, some kind of clever wording so that individuals who build these confined animal feeding operations couldn't use that as a mechanism by which to exclude adjacent property owners who build it. In other words, by putting their primary structure at one location and then building an accessory building that holds the dead animals 600 feet away. You know, because that's what I'm trying to hint towards is that, you know, most of the large confined buildings either have composting sheds or they have a building that dead animals are stored in.
Those are considered part of the CAFO, then it goes off of that structure. So if a CAFO has an accessory structure that has, equipment that's involved with that CAFO.
But our rules don't read that. Our 800-foot setback is from the building, the way I believe it's from the building to, or the unit that says pins that no, building. You know, and it has not been a problem yet, but it could be in the future, so it would be easier to address it before it becomes one. Here it says the outer perimeter of the CFO or CAFO shall not be located any closer than the following: 800 feet from the residence. Shall be defined the footprints of the residence or accessory buildings located within 25 foot of the residence.
So if you have a portable shed on your property, you gotta be 800 foot from the portable shed.
Let's see, there's the
Portable
amendment.
sheds within 25 feet
amendment.
of the house.
Yeah. So it would make a difference if we have a little 4 to 6 portable shed, it's 25 feet from the house, you're down there 20 or 30 foot buffer.
Including structures and lagoons. But it does not, you know, it doesn't say that a CAFO includes like pins, outlots, and accessory buildings. The reason I bring that up is we have, that's one, question, you know, and, that has to do with a dairy farm over in the southern part of the county, and, new residence that was constructed, and they had pins that were very close to the structure, you know. And I believe Cameron, you said it was 800 feet from,
It was actually 800 feet from the accessory structure, not from the actual where the animals are. So
Okay.
if you're going by where the animals are, it was well over 800 feet.
okay.
So probably 900 to 1,000 feet.
Okay, you know, but we wanna make sure we've got that covered, you know, and then the other issue has to, that I brought up, and then emailed to Cameron, was, Carroll County is 800 feet, and I believe our surrounding counties are 20. And we approved a building that, is in excess of 800 feet from structures, but across the county line is a building that is less than their requirement of 1,320 feet from the structure. So we've been asking to put that structure in Clinton County in jeopardy if anything happens to it that they can't rebuild. I don't know how the Clinton County ordinance is read, whether it would allow a variance on that, or not.
Well, Clinton County could only base it on the Clinton
Clinton
County
County.
properties, not Carroll County properties.
So we could build a hog barn within 100 feet of a Clinton County house.
Sounds like.
Two different ordinances.
was the harness one. You know, we stopped them from,
It was
The
over,
building next
it was
to
over,
that.
it was over 800 feet.
we stopped them from building next to, they would be less than 800 feet from that waterway and woods. In Clinton County, people wanted it farther yet, you know, we denied the 800 feet, being closer, being too close to that woods and waterway. They moved it right over in front of the Clinton County people, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Is that on county line?
Mhm.
That was, road
It's harness and, rock food,
As Fred Rocky Jr. was
yeah,
homeowner.
yeah, we had that up in the Civic.
There was a request that it be granted a variance for 600 feet from the house to the southwest, which was in Carroll County. You know, which would tuck it back in the wooded area with vegetated pillar around it, and the property owner that was southwest of it said he was okay with the 600 feet, but, the board voted to deny that variance, which required them to stick it 800, more than 800 feet, which moved it out into the middle of the field and closer to their Blackview property. If it had been, if the variance had been granted, it would have been, over 13 point from the Blackview property.
Yeah, dealing with different counties, I mean, I don't know that there's really much reciprocity between them on how
Well,
they
and
do
it
it.
did the same thing if somebody in Clinton County wanted to build, you know, they don't care what we've got in Carroll
Yeah.
County. They would build where their regulations tell them to build.
Yeah,
So then,
So the question
What
is
you're
on
saying-
county lines.
what you're saying is, everybody that builds a hog barn needs to build it right next to the county line, because that side of the county doesn't matter anymore.
No, I'm just saying that Clinton County is not going to confer with Carroll County on any of our rules and regulations. Same as we didn't go to Clinton County and say, is this okay with you, when the harness issue came up?
Well, Teresa, what you're saying is, building next to the county line is the preferred place to build a hog barn. There's no rule on the side of the county line.
No, I'm saying Carroll County has Carroll County's rules.
But you're saying the house in Clinton County doesn't apply to this. It could be
No,
right
it
across.
doesn't.
It
We
could be
have
right
our Carroll
across.
County rules, and that's where our,
It could be right across the road, and that's wrong.
It's in a different ordinance. I mean, I get what you're saying, but.
Yeah.
But it's
two different
a
ordinances.
structure, it's a structure.
It's a
It's-
structure.
I think
that-
what you're saying, Everett, is it makes more sense if counties are more have more conformity between
On county line.
some of their setbacks and rules and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree a
I
hundred percent.
understand.
And I believe that our ordinance should not exclude, or say that the end of our jurisdiction from setback from structures and setback from confined animal buildings or confined animal buildings from homes should stop at the county line. Because we can look and see where the houses are at on the other side of the line. It's not fair to those people on the other side of the line to build a hog barn right next to their house. But what you're saying is it'd be perfectly legal.
I'm saying that Carroll County has a rule for 800 feet, and that's all we can do. We can't go to Tippecanoe or White or any of those
And
and
you're,
tell
Teresa,
them how we're gonna do it.
what you're saying is that I could go to the county line road, I could build a hog barn on the house, on the north side of it, and the house would be just right on the other side of it.
She's saying that she's saying what's the Carroll County ordinance.
Yeah.
We don't have anything to do with what, we know what, this is Clinton County, this is Carroll County. We're
But-
following what the Carroll County ordinance.
But it says here,
Does that make it right, or does that make it, I mean, but we're following what's the Carroll County ordinance?
But we still should be able to keep 800 feet from the house, even if the house is in the next county. We
Right.
can look like.
That's the question, that's where the question is.
I would think we should be able to do that, because we know where the house is.
Right.
our ordinance says right here specifically, new residence may not be constructed within 800 feet of a CFO or CAFO unless the residence is either owned by the CFO operator or capo operator. You know, is constructed upon the same parcel of land as the CFO or CAFO is situated, or has a variance for the proposed new residence location. So that doesn't say anything about the residence only being or the capital being only in Carroll
But we
County.
can't stop what's gonna be built. Clinton County gets their permits through Clinton County.
That's right.
So
That's
if
right.
they permit a structure that's less than 800 feet from something in Carroll County, we don't have control of that.
That's right, but we have control that says you can't build a house within 800 feet of a capital.
Right.
And that doesn't say that it has to be in Carroll County. It can be in Clinton County.
It doesn't, right, I see what you're saying, but we're following what's set under the Carroll County ordinance.
It doesn't say the house has to be in Carroll County.
And the outer
It says 800
perimeter
feet.
of a capo, CFO or capo, including structures and lagoons, shall not be located any closer than the following setbacks: 800 feet from any residence unless the residence is on a parcel of land owned by the CAFO operator. It doesn't
I
say
get
anything,
100%
it
what you're
doesn't
saying.
say anything about, you know, Carroll County only, it says period, that.
Right, and I get that 100%, but I don't know how we can we can enforce our ordinance,
Right.
but we can't keep Clinton County from.
We could address it and say that,
Sure.
you know, and write it into the ordinances that, you know, CAFOs on the county line shall be in conformance with the setback requirements of the adjoining county.
So how do we keep a adjoining county from, if they wanna put a house right here, it's not, how do we flip that from the homeowner?
We could ask,
the
we could ask them to address it. We would take the first step with the attorney.
You sure they haven't already addressed it, though?
Well,
I don't know that.
I don't know.
Because I haven't had one of the, new house in Clinton County go up, I mean, I guess, don't speak with the Clinton County already playing people that much, because they're as good as I am, but I don't know how we would start that process, I guess. But if someone has their mind set on this piece of property, this is where I wanna put my house, and Carroll County says it's not within 800 feet, next to too bad, I think we're kinda stuck with it.
Unless
On
we-
their side.
Unless we ask them to address it and the two counties work together to come out with something.
Right.
You know,
We can enforce what's on our side.
yeah.
If it's after the case goes up, that's their problem for a wheeler house. They gotta live with it better.
Correct.
Yeah,
We're talking
because they
about-
don't say.
Talk about when the house is already there, we put a case over here, 800 feet out next.
Or vice versa, what if the kid, what if they wanna put a new home there, and they have to follow the same compliance as the kid owner? Just so, you know, so it's a double-edged sword. The homeowners have to follow the same rules as the kid owner.
The setbacks. that
Setbacks
they
are
have
the same for both.
The same for homes and CAFOs. But the issue becomes is Carroll County is not the same as Clinton County.
Correct.
Carroll County is not the same as White.
I get 100% what you're saying.
So if Carroll County was 800 and Clinton County was 1320 and Boone County was 1500,
Well, we
Then
don't
you-
know anything.
but you're in Clinton County and you're trying to say that we should be the same as our surrounding counties, then how does Clinton County then stay in line with Boone County? I mean,
You can't have one setback on this side of the county, but on the other side of the county where it's Boone County, it's a different one.
So, you know, I think we're just gonna have to take each case
Be tricky.
individually. That's all I can say, we keep our rules and go individually.
I get 100% what you're saying.
Yeah.
The county line is
I can tell you this, I don't anticipate APC wanting to take on this issue for quite a while. Just saying.
Somehow or other, I knew you were gonna say that.
If there's ever a hot issue, that's the one.
Exactly. You wanna round those sides up? Ooh.
You know, the big issue is similar to in North Carolina. When Carroll County realizes it's a problem, it will be too late. You can check me over there.
Well, some,
as long as we do our ordinance correct.
I think
I-
economic
yeah.
issues
Yeah.
and prices of livestock
I-
and, I
I-
mean, these things come and go, unfortunately.
I was on the other side of the coin for about 28 years, so, I've seen it just about all, you know. stop the whole thing. There was a huge lawsuit over the pollution of Chesapeake Bay. And, Murphy Farms Incorporated was sued by the EPA in the state of Maryland. And, I think it was Maryland, you know, and, they cost them about $5 million to fight it. And the net result was, is that the guy, I was down in Georgia, and he had 2 jars of groundwater. He said, this is a jar of municipal waste. This is legal to discharge from the streams and waterways in the United States as a permit, if you have a permit. This is a jar of pub waste, illegal to discharge anywhere. And the net result of the lawsuit was, is that the bacteria that was polluting Chesapeake Bay was human waste, not animal waste. And the case was dismissed, but the $5 million that Murphy spent, you know, put them out of business eventually. That's when Smithfield bought the Murphy Farms.
Interesting.
I move to adjourn.
Sounds like a
I
motion.
second.
All in favor, say aye.